singing it a long time. I thought, I'm glad I've got it tonight.
Amen.
I'm glad I've got something worth sharing. Man, I thought there's a lot of things in this world people can come in contact with, people can get, and but I thought, I'm glad I got something from Brother Harold that's worth having.
Amen.
And I appreciate the Lord, and Brother Sparks said, appreciate everybody's here, and I appreciate my brother-in-law and father-in-law for being here, and we don't get to be in church with them much, but sure appreciate them being here tonight.
Yeah.
Finally going to be baptized after a while, they want to be here for that. Appreciate David and Audrey being here.
Yes, yes.
And I think we take things so for granted, and it's not too often all my children in church with us, and I appreciate that tonight.
Yes, yes.
Appreciate God for all that He's done for us. So we'll turn your Bibles to the book of James, chapter 4, and I'm going to read this. I've got a couple things here, and then I'm going to be reading over the book of 2 Kings later on, but use some things from that. But I'm going to take my text from the book of James, chapter 4, and I don't have a big 3-point message tonight. Just got something the Lord's laid on my heart. We'll see what He has for us. But James chapter 4, verse 6, he said, but He giveth more grace, wherefore He saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners. Purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Be afflicted, and mourn, and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He shall lift you up. I thought, you can be seated. I thought I read that there, and I thought in verse 7 and 8 of what we read, he said, submit yourselves therefore to God.
Right.
Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. And I thought, I don't know about you, but I want to draw nigh to the Lord. And I thought I want him to draw nigh to me. That means something when he draws nigh and you draw nigh. I thought, I've said it before. I spend a lot of times with Colin when I get off work and I come home, and we were camping last week. Spent a lot of time with him, but a lot of times we'll just be walking, and no matter what we're doing, and we'll be walking down through the yard or something. He'll stop and he'll look at me and say, "Papa, I sure do love you." And I thought, and I look at him and I'll give a response. "I love you too." And I thought, if I didn't respond back to him, Brother Bill, I thought after a while he would quit telling me he loved me. Because I would be giving him the response. And I thought that's what God wants us to do to him. He wants us to draw nigh unto him, and then he will draw nigh unto us. And I thought, I thought this is a little different the way I've got this laid out maybe tonight. And I've got a bunch of things that I was sitting there at the house and I was thinking, and I just went to typing, and I don't type too fast, but I thought I put a lot of things down here, and I thought I began to thinking about God and how bad do we really want him?
All right.
Or how bad do you really want the blessings that God has to offer you?
Right.
And I began to think about that. And I thought, one thing that maybe got me thinking about this is, and like I said, we camped last week down Boonesboro, and went down Monday afternoon and set the camper up, and I went to work during the day and left Colin and Sister Kathy there. But when we were going down Monday evening, we got off 75 there at the Boonesboro exit, and we got up to the light, and there was a lady sitting over on the guardrail, and she had a sign, and she was holding it up, and she had actually, Colin said she got her sign upside down, and but I read the sign, and it said, "Homeless, hungry, anything will help." And you know what? I know the plot of the Panhandler and their ideas and the way they do things. But as we pulled out and started down Boonesboro Road, right across from Love's truck stop at the other stoplight, there was a guy standing there. He had the same sign, said, "Homeless and hungry, anything will help." And I thought, we went on and we went and set our things up, and like I said, I worked, and I come home from work, or come back to the campground Tuesday evening, and there they were again. Came back Wednesday evening, there they were again. And came back Thursday evening, there they were again. And Friday I got off a lot earlier, and we came by, we went in and hooked the camper up. We was coming back home around noon, I guess, and we got up to the place where the man was standing, and there was no man there. But on the guardrail there laid a loaf of butternut bread. And right where he had been standing, somebody, and you said, "Well, you're reading this all wrong." No. Somebody had read his sign, "Homeless, hungry, anything will help." And they went into the store and they bought him a loaf of butternut bread, Brother Danny. They gave it out and gave it to him. He laid it on the guardrail, but whenever he was through with his day of panhandling, he took what money that was given to him throughout the day, and he left that loaf of bread laying on the guardrail, because that's really not what he was desiring. He was not desiring bread. He was desiring something to feed an addiction, something to feed a craving that was inside of him. And I thought that's the thing that he was after. And I thought, I began to think about it. I thought the drug addict, the alcoholics, the ones that hooked to nicotine, and all the other things that the enemy has to offer, they're going to do whatever's necessary to get what they're wanting. But I thought God's got something for us tonight, and how bad do we really want it?
Right.
How about He's got a lot of things to offer us.
Yes, he does.
And I thought, so does the world.
Right.
But I thought the thing about the world is the things that they are getting is only a mere pleasure for a season and a time. But I thought the things that God has to offer us, Brother Jerry, is something that's going to stick with us to the very end of this world. I thought we look around and we see how the things are changing, the world is changing. It seems rapidly we see change. I thought, like I said, in the last 10 years, I thought we have seen more change in this world that we're living in than we have ever seen. Rapidly making change. And I thought, but God has not changed. God is still the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I thought, how bad do we really want what God's got to offer? I sing the song, I've got it, you can have it. If you want it, you can get it. I thought all you've got to do is ask and receive. And I thought, I'm glad tonight that I'm serving a mighty God. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 5, and verse 1. It says, now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master, and honorable because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. And he was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. I thought Naaman was a great man. The Bible says that he was great with his master. And then the Bible also says that he was an honorable man, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. And it also says that he was a mighty man of valor. But you see, Naaman had a problem. Verse 1 ends by saying, but he was a leper.
Yes, sir.
You see, Naaman was unclean. Therefore, Naaman, he had to separate himself. He was a leprous man. And I thought there's a lot of great people in this world. And some realize they've got a problem. And some don't realize, and they think they do not. I thought there's a lot of great people in our churches. And some of them have problems. Oh, everybody has problems. Problems happen to anybody.
Yes, sir.
My brother Steve preaching this morning, preaching on making the trade. And I thought that was a good message he preached this morning. I thought, but, did we give the response that was needed for that message?
That's right.
Because there's a lot of us have got a lot of things that we need to be trading off, but we're holding on to.
Right.
And I thought, one thing that a lot of people, they want to hold to. I don't know about you, but I've been sick, and but I never wanted to stay that way.
Right.
It's been almost 9 years ago now that I was down my back so bad that you folks remember. I couldn't even walk. Walking on a walking cane to me, just in my late 30s. That's not no good. And but here I was. It's been almost 10 years ago now. I think I was 38. And but anyway, that was a place that I did not want to be.
Right.
I was at work one day and walked in the office, and there's a little guy that lived down in Union City and came in there all the time. And I walked in, and he said, "Man, what's wrong with you?" I said, "I'm down my back." And he said, "I knew a guy that got that way one time." And said when he got his first check, he left his walking stick hanging on the mailbox. And I thought, that's not what I was after. I was in pain. I was needing deliverance. I did not want to stay there. But I thought we have people today that whenever they get a problem, they want to hold to their problems.
Right.
They want to linger to them. They want to stay in their situation and not get away from it. I thought Naaman, he realized that he was a mighty man, but he had a problem. There was something that was keeping him from being what he needed to be.
Right.
And I thought, when we get sick, it affects everything. I came to church. I don't think I might have missed one or two services, but I don't think I did. Just maybe I probably did, maybe one or two. But I'd come, and most time I'd sit right over in the corner, and they had a special chair for me to sit in. I couldn't sit in the pews, and I'd get up and I'd go to work, and I'd put in about a half a day, and David would have to take me back to the house, and I'd get home and I'd go to bed and I'd lay there. So therefore, I was not benefiting the church none. I was going to work, but I was not being able to perform my job. I was coming home, and yeah, I was home. I was still the husband. I was still the daddy. But I was not able to do the things that was necessary for me to do there at the house. I thought I was existing, but I was not being what I needed to be because I had a problem. And I thought Naaman realized that he had a problem. And I thought there's a lot of people that's got problems, and they need to just simply let them go. We have the answer. We have the source. But we're still holding on to our problems. And I thought the first step to getting help is realizing you have a problem. You take a drug addict, and until they realize that their lifestyle is killing them, then they're not going to do no better.
That's right.
We got a guy that's working there at work, works on second shift, and I didn't know it before, but he don't care to tell you that he said I was no good and useless. So I was on drugs. I didn't care about nothing. Until him and his girlfriend had a baby. And they were at the hospital. And because of their lifestyle, social services came and took a baby away from them that they never got to take home. Fortunately, her mother was able to intervene and she got the child. But see, they didn't have that child. And he said, that done something inside of me. He said, that was my baby. I wanted to be with it. He said, I thought I was going to be incarcerated when it was even born. And when is it going to be there? And he said, but I was able to bail out, and I was there for that. And he said, then I went before the judge, and he said, the judge had heard all those stories before. He said, but I wanted to change. And he said, and I realized if I wanted my baby, then I had to change myself.
Come on.
And he said he began to make the change, and his girlfriend began to make the change. And I thought he works every day, and I mean he'll stay there. I mean he'd almost pull 2 shifts if you let him. And I thought, but he has applied himself. And he was telling me the other day, and I said, there's only one thing lacking, son. He said, what's that? I said, you need to get that baby in a church somewhere and give your life to God. I thought, because we can only do so much for ourselves, but when we give it totally to God, He can make the difference. I thought, how bad do we really want what God's got to offer? I thought, you see, like I said, Naaman was so great that he knew he needed help. But was he really willing to do what it took to get it? You see, he had a little maid, a little hand servant that they had taken into captivity. And she saw the condition of Naaman. She told his wife, said, I wish my Lord could be cleansed. I know a man, a prophet, that if we can go to him, he can be cleansed.
Yes, sir.
And, so Naaman goes and he goes to Elisha. You know, here he is. He's a man of valor. He's a man of high esteem.
Right.
And so he sends a message, and he comes to Elisha, expecting Elisha to come out and do some great thing for him. But Elisha did not even come out. He sent a servant.
Yeah.
Just a messenger. And said, go down and dip yourself. And Elisha sent a messenger, verse 10, unto him, saying, go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. And then verse 11 says, but Naaman was wroth and went away and said, behold, I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper. You see, Naaman had already figured out how he thought God was going to do things.
Right. Yeah.
He thought that he was going to ride up. Elisha was going to come out because he was such a great man. He was going to wave his hand over him and call out on the name of his God, and God was going to move. But you see, the thing was, God wanted Naaman to humble himself and come down to lower his expectations of what he thought he was.
Right.
You know, that's, a lot of times that's the problem with us, is we get to this level where we think that we're somebody.
Yeah.
We think that we are something. I thought, you know, I was telling somebody the other day, whenever I first took the supervisor's job there at Uncle Charlie's, and trust me, I was not ready for it. I mean, it was just about that's why I guess it's playing. I don't hear that, Brother Danny. I don't know. But anyway, but I was sitting there one day and I was eating in the break room at lunch, and Mr. Parsons came by, and he said, you know, you could sit in your office and eat your lunch. And I looked at him and I said, you might want, you know, just get away for a while. But, you know, and I felt like, you know, I could have done that. And there's been times that I have done that. But I felt like that if I'd done that, then, you know, here I was, I've worked with all these people, I started out there, and then if I'd done that and I pulled myself by everything, well, he thinks he's better than I am.
Uh-huh.
How can I, you know, and how can I work with them? And, you know, you know, I don't care to do anything. I mean, I'll jump in there. If there's a job that needs to be done, I'll do it. I mean, I whatever it takes. But a lot of times we get to that mentality. We feel like we look at that one that's in the gutter, or that one that's on the drugs, or that one that's lost without God.
Right.
And when we get this attitude, there's no help for them. But I thought Naaman knew in his heart that if he got what he needed with God, that he was going to humble himself before God. I thought he was willing to leave the same way that he came.
Yeah.
And he was willing to leave with the same problem that he had when he got there. And I thought a lot of times we do the same thing. We know where we need to be with God. But we look at the preacher and we say, don't preach on that, preacher. Don't touch on that. Or we're looking and we say, you know, Lord, you know, say something that, you know, I don't care to get a few goose pimples every once in a while, but don't get me under conviction. Or we'll look at him and you know, you know, don't, you know, we got to get ourselves humbled before God. Because God resists the proud, but He giveth grace to the humble. And I thought, I don't know about you, but I thought there's some things that God has got for me, and I won't. Because I've never reached the level where I need to be with God. None of us have. And I thought, I'm desiring to get there. I'm desiring to get a closer walk with God. Oh, Malachi 3:6 says, he says, for I am the Lord, and I change not. Oh, like I said, we're living in a world that is rapidly changing. But I thought, I'm serving a God tonight that does not change. He has not changed. And I thought, I want to be willing to do whatever it takes for God to be able to give me what He's wanted me to have. And verse 13 says in Naaman, talking about Naaman, it says, and his servant came near and spake unto him and said, my father, if the prophet had bid thee some great thing, wouldest thou have done it? How much rather then, when he saith to wash and be clean. You see, a lot of people are looking for an easy way out. We've got a world that's looking for simple solutions. There's 12-step programs anywhere you want to go for anything. And I thought I was there the other day, and I thought I've never been a muscular type, but I had on my white undershirt and I was brushing my teeth. Well, Harold, I noticed that my right shirt sleeve was a little tighter than my left shirt sleeve. And because I use my right arm for everything. I'm right-handed. And I looked and I thought, you know, I probably ought to do something. Work that up a little bit and try to tighten up that a little bit. Colin likes to walk around and tell me to look at his guns all the time, you know. And I told him the only way I had a gun is if I had it in my pocket. I mean, that's just the way I'm built. I don't know. But I began to look and I thought, I can't. My elbows hurt. My shoulders hurt. I come home from work all the time. I thought this rain front that's came in. I've laid on the couch all day today, moaning and groaning about my back, arthritis in it. I mean, some of you know what I'm talking about. And I thought, you know, there's a lot of things that we do. And I thought we look and we think, you know, and you know, sure, I'd like to be stouter. I'd like to be stronger. But there's no easy way to get there.
That's right.
And, you know, they'll say, I remember when I was in school and gym, they'd say, no pain, no gain. And they meant that. I mean, if you didn't get sore, then you weren't going to get nothing accomplished. And I thought, that's the way it is with God. Sometimes, to get where God wants us to be, we're going to have to face it. We're going to have to let go of some things that we really don't want to let go of. And we're going to have to do some things that we really don't want to do. Naaman did not want to go down to that muddy river of Jordan and dip 7 times. He didn't want to do that. We had a Bible school thing here one time. Brother Bill was Naaman. They put spots on him. Put him behind this thing like water. They got a good wet. Time he went down to 7 times. He just kept throwing that water on. And I thought he kept going down. And man, he had a look on his face whenever he was down. I'll never will forget that. He was just, you could see the disgust in his face when he was going down. And I can imagine that's what they was. I don't know why I'm having to do it this way. But God had a plan. And God said, if you want to be clean, you're going to do it my way. And I thought, no matter what it is tonight, I thought if we want it, we're going to have to do it God's way. Verse 14 says, then he went down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again, like in the flesh of a little child, and was clean. He was clean. He was made whole. The flesh of a child. And I thought, you know, and you know, Naaman being a warrior, you know, he was probably a rugged man. No doubt he was, you know, even before the leprosy came on, maybe he was sun bleached and his skin was dry. I mean, he's out there in the desert. But he had the skin of a child because God made it new. And I thought, and when you do things God's way, we will see results. But I thought the thing we got to do is we got to humble ourselves. And I thought if we really want a revival, if we really want a blessing, if we really want a healing, we're going to do whatever it takes to get it.
Yes.
I thought we are a spoiled people. We really are. I've said it before. We've got nice homes to live in. Brother Harold was talking the other night about, you know, Pawpaw, and whenever his kids had one good pair of shoes, talking about how many shoes he has. I mean, my closet's a mess. You know, we've got a big closet. The thing's 14 foot deep, half of our house, and it's about 7 foot wide, and it's from one end of it to the other, and all the way across this side, plumb full of our clothes. There's just 2 people lives in the house. There's a lot of clothes in there. I went in the other day and I was trying to find a shirt to work in, and most of my work shirts I have that I work around the house in, I've completely destroyed. And working on cars, getting them all greasy. And I was working through. Finally, I came to a shirt, and it was a nice shirt. I looked at it, and I thought, man, I ain't wore that in a long time. So I put it on my work shirt out of it. That's how we're blessed. And I thought years ago, saints just had one outfit to work in, they'd bring it home, wash it, and one to put on wear to church. If they didn't even have to wear what they work in all day to church. And I thought, but God has blessed us so much. And then we look at what are we doing in return for God? Are we where those old saints was? Whenever they talked about, I used to love to get to church early. This is Brother Elmo, when he talked about living up in Lee County. He said, we get no pine knot. And he said, we twist that thing up. And I know what he's talking about. Getting a piece of green pine, twist it up, and make a torch out of that thing. Light that. walk to church in the dark. And he said we'd talk and we'd about the Lord, we'd sing and rejoice all the way to church. When they got to church, they shouted through the doors. They had church, and then they'd shout all the way back home. And I thought, now we get a nice air-conditioned car with bright headlights if it's dark, and heat in the winter. And I thought we listen to the radio and the secular news or whatever, coming all the way to church, and we get to church, we're so upset with what's going on in the world that we can't even get in the house of God and worship. And I thought, if we would just simply let go of things and realize how God has blessed us, how much further would we be if we would just simply let go, drop our pride, and do it God's way. Well, as they come against the song, I hope to you. I thought I don't want to bash or make you think I'm almost on. I'm not. But I thought Lord dealt with me on this all week long. And I thought about those hands. And if you know me, I'm kind of, I don't like sarcasm. I don't like racists. I deal with it all the time. Bring people in there to work. It won't work. And work a day or two just enough to get a little bit of money and then never see them again with the ability to work. And I don't put with that. I don't like that. No. But I thought that's the world we're living in. People are looking for an easy way out. And I thought not only are they doing it in the world, but they're coming to the house of God expecting the same thing. I want an easy way out. But I thought God has not changed.
No, he's not.
Neither had his word.
No.
And neither has the direction
No.
to get there. The only way we're going to get there is through and by the blood of Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Like, you know, never get a song. I'm quit. We was down there this week. I said that. And, you know, a couple years ago we was down there and we ran into a family. They don't live like we do. But we got to talking. They was having some activities for the kids. And made an acquaintance with them. They came out to church that Sunday. Turns out that he's took pastored out here at the Methodist Church at Bobby. And but we were friendly. That night after we got back up to the campsite, we were camping right side by side. And they were moving down here from Florida. He had all his music with him. We went to dragging out his guitars and his basses and his amps. And we sat around and sang. There was a couple that was camping right between us that was all messed up. Two women. And they were wives, I guess is what you'd call it. I don't know. And but we began to sing about the blessings of God and the things of God. And I thought, I began to see conviction fall. They had a little boy with them, and man, he was just eating it up. I mean, he was right there, wouldn't leave. Teenage boy. And but anyway, we you know, when then we left our ways, and we still communicate some. But we was down there this week, and there was a family camped in front of us that looked like we look. Well, they pulled in, and I told Sister Kathy, I said, I think they are. And I told her what denomination I thought it was. Lo and behold, I go riding my bike down through there. The guy said, "Hey there." I said, "Howdy." He said, "You Pentecostal?" I said, and I said, "Yeah." He said, "Apostolic?" And I said, "No, Trinity." "Oh, nice meeting you." That was it. He was through with me. And I thought, we camped right in front of it all week long. And I mean, you know, he might wave a little bit, but that was it. Because he felt like he had something I didn't have. I don't know. I had never been baptized like he thought I ought to be baptized. So therefore, we couldn't have fellowship with one another. And I thought that, you know, and that's fine, because, you know, whatever. But I thought, we get so caught up in this is the way it's got to be, that we don't want to reach out for no one else. You know, I've been friends with these guys. I've been glad to talk to them. But I thought we get so set. But I thought, no, we can't compromise the gospel.
That's right.
We can't compromise the things of God and what we know that God has taught us and He's led us away from.
That's right.
I thought we still can't get so set that we can't even be friendly.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't want to be that way.
No.
I thought, I want to reach out. And I thought, what has God got for me? God has got great things for us if we just simply obey His will.
Right.
think we are and humble ourselves down before God and do it God's way.
Hallelujah.
Let's take us a song tonight.
That's right.
I hope it'll help you. That's all I had tonight. But I thought, how bad do you want it? How bad do you really want it? The blessings of God are for all of us. And I thought, we are not reaching as a church what we need to reach.
No, we're not.
We are a Pentecostal church. And I thought, how long has it been since we've heard a lot of speaking in tongues? That's what happened on that Pentecost. They all got one mind, one accord, and they spoke in God in tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance.
Right.
We sit here and we get so caught up, so formal. We come and we go through our little ritual, but we're not reaching what God wants us to reach.
That's right.
We're not getting to the level. They sang that song, Lord, lift me up. Let me stand on heaven's table. That means get up a little higher. A place where God has put for us. I thought, are we going to sit and try to do it our way and not let God put us where He needs us to be? Take us a song.